The night of September 25, 2025 marked a dramatic shift in the Ukraine war. As darkness blanketed the region, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. Few could have predicted the scale of what was about to unfold. The world had grown accustomed to the grinding stalemate along the front lines, but this night would shatter expectations and redraw the boundaries of the conflict. Under the cover of night, Ukraine orchestrated a meticulously planned, high-tech assault deep inside Russian territory. This was not a mere border skirmish. This was a bold, coordinated operation targeting the very logistical heart of Russia's war effort. Dozens of drones, guided by real-time intelligence and advanced navigation systems, soared across the border, evading detection and zeroing in on critical infrastructure. Explosions erupted hundreds of kilometers from Ukraine's front lines, lighting up the Russian night sky and sending shockwaves through command centers and civilian neighborhoods alike. The scale and precision of the strikes left Russian officials scrambling for answers, as the reality of the threat became impossible to ignore. These were not random attacks, they were calculated blows aimed at oil refineries, missile depots, and key supply hubs. The strikes crippled Russia's ability to sustain its offensive, disrupting fuel supplies and damaging stockpiles of critical munitions. Fires raged for hours, and the smoke could be seen for miles, a stark symbol of Ukraine's newfound reach. For months, the world had watched a grinding war of attrition, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. But these audacious strikes signaled a bold new strategy from Kyiv, one that caught both Moscow and international observers off guard. News outlets around the globe broke into special coverage, and military analysts scrambled to assess the implications. Ukraine, once forced into a defensive posture, now projected power far beyond its borders. The strikes exposed vulnerabilities in Russia's air defenses and logistical networks, weaknesses Moscow had long denied or downplayed. For the first time, Russian territory far from the front lines felt the direct impact of the war. The psychological impact was immediate and profound. Russian civilians who had watched the war from a distance suddenly found themselves in the crosshairs. Emergency services raced through the night, and social media filled with images of burning refineries and panicked residents. The war, once a distant reality, had arrived on Russia's doorstep. Ukrainian drones navigated complex, layered air defenses, striking targets from Krasnodar to Samara with remarkable precision. Each successful hit demonstrated not only technological prowess, but also a new level of strategic ambition. The message was clear: nowhere in Russia was truly safe from Ukrainian reach. Russian authorities scrambled to control the narrative, issuing statements downplaying the damage. But satellite imagery and eyewitness videos quickly spread online, revealing the true scale of destruction. Journalists and independent analysts pored over the evidence, confirming Ukraine's growing capabilities. Ukraine is no longer just defending its land, it's actively dismantling Russia's war machine from afar. With each strike, it chips away at Moscow's ability to wage war, forcing Russian commanders to divert resources and rethink their strategies. This single night has forced both Kyiv and Moscow to confront a new reality. As leaders in both capitals hold emergency meetings and military planners scramble to adapt, the war enters an unpredictable new phase, one where the front lines are no longer fixed and the balance of power is up for grabs. Ukraine's strikes targeted the vital organs of Russia's military machine. The Afipsky oil refinery attack halved its output, choking fuel supplies for Russian forces. Special operations forces hit the 448th Missile Brigade in Kursk, destroying missile launchers and air defense systems. Ammunition and drone hubs were engulfed in flames, disrupting Russia's supply chain. Each destroyed warehouse means fewer shells and bullets for Russian troops, straining an already stretched network. These attacks forced Russia to pull air defenses from the front, creating new opportunities for Ukraine. The economic and operational costs for Russia are immense. Now, Moscow faces a multi-front war, on Ukrainian soil and within its own borders. For Ukraine, this is a calculated campaign to systematically dismantle Russia's ability to wage war. Ukraine's technological revolution is redefining the battlefield, turning what was once a conventional war into a high-tech contest of innovation and adaptation. In the face of overwhelming odds, Ukrainian forces have embraced cutting-edge solutions, integrating digital warfare, artificial intelligence, and rapid prototyping into their military strategy. This shift is not just about new gadgets, it's about a mindset that values agility, creativity, and the ability to outthink the enemy at every turn. Long-range attack drones engineered to evade Russian radar and jamming now strike deep into enemy territory. These drones are designed with stealth in mind, using advanced materials and flight patterns to slip past even the most sophisticated defenses. Their ability to deliver precision strikes from afar has forced Russia to rethink its own strategies and invest heavily in countermeasures. These aren't off-the-shelf models. They're advanced, coordinated in swarms to overwhelm air defenses. By working together, these drones can confuse enemy radars, saturate defensive systems, and ensure that at least some reach their targets. Swarm tactics represent a leap forward in battlefield coordination, making it nearly impossible for traditional anti-aircraft systems to keep up. Some act as decoys, others strike primary targets, all requiring precise intelligence and real-time control. Operators rely on live video feeds, satellite data, and AI-driven analytics to make split-second decisions, maximizing the impact of every mission. This seamless integration of technology and human expertise is a hallmark of Ukraine's new approach to warfare. Ukraine's unmanned systems forces have turned Russia's former advantage into a vulnerability. By targeting supply lines, command posts, and armored vehicles, they disrupt the enemy's ability to coordinate and respond. What was once a battlefield dominated by heavy armor is now a domain where speed and intelligence win the day. On the seas, the Toloka unmanned underwater vehicle opens a new front, threatening Russian warships and infrastructure. These underwater drones can operate undetected for long periods, gathering intelligence or delivering explosive payloads to high-value targets, making the Black Sea a far more dangerous place for Russian naval forces. Drones are now Ukraine's primary strike tools, cost-effective, deadly, and keeping soldiers out of harm's way. Their versatility allows for rapid adaptation to new threats, and their relatively low cost means losses can be quickly replaced, maintaining constant pressure on Russian positions. As Ukraine refines its tech, Russia faces a growing, hard-to-counter threat. Each new innovation forces Russian commanders to adapt, stretching their resources and exposing weaknesses in their traditional doctrine. The technological arms race is relentless, and Ukraine is setting the pace. This is asymmetric warfare at its finest, a nimble force using innovation to outmaneuver a larger adversary. Ukrainian units leverage their technological edge to punch above their weight, striking where the enemy is weakest and vanishing before a counterattack can be organized. The rapid pace of Ukrainian innovation is fundamentally changing the rules of war. New drone models, software updates, and battlefield tactics are developed and deployed in weeks, not years, creating a cycle of constant improvement that keeps Ukraine one step ahead. Russia's conventional might is being challenged by Ukraine's relentless creativity. In this new era of warfare, it's not just about who has the most firepower, it's about who can adapt, innovate, and outsmart the opposition. Moscow's immediate response was denial and panic. State media downplayed the damage, blaming falling debris, but massive fires told a different story. Social media videos of direct hits overwhelmed the Kremlin's propaganda machine. The strikes exposed critical failures in Russia's air defenses, forcing tough choices: protect the front or the homeland. This dilemma weakens Russia's overall military posture and creates internal friction. Publicly, Russia's rhetoric turned aggressive, blaming NATO and warning of escalation. Officials called European discussions about shooting down drones irresponsible, trying to deter Western support. The Kremlin's bluster masks a regime feeling cornered, not confident. The real panic is about losing control of both the narrative and the strategic initiative. The war is no longer distant, it's burning on Russian soil. The drone war has rattled Europe, forcing a rapid security rethink. The skies over European cities, once symbols of peace and progress, now buzz with the ominous presence of military drones. This new reality has sparked a wave of anxiety and urgency across the continent. Russian drone incursions near NATO borders have put the continent on high alert. These incursions are not just isolated incidents, they represent a broader strategy to test and probe European defenses. The frequency and boldness of these incursions have left European nations scrambling to bolster their security measures. These are seen as intelligence probes and provocations, raising fears of escalation. Security analysts are working around the clock to interpret the data and predict the next moves. The stakes are high and the margin for error is slim. In response, EU defense ministers announced a drone wall, an integrated network of sensors and interceptors from Finland to Poland. This ambitious project aims to create an impenetrable barrier against unauthorized drone activity, leveraging the latest in surveillance and interception technology. This marks a strategic shift. Europe is now focused on countering swarms of cheap drones, not just tanks and missiles. The traditional tools of warfare are being supplemented with cutting-edge technology designed to neutralize the drone threat. The project demands unprecedented cooperation in intelligence and technology. Engineers and defense officials from multiple nations are pooling their expertise to develop sophisticated detection and interception systems. Moscow condemned the plan, but for Europe, inaction is no longer an option. The political ramifications are significant, but the consensus is clear. Europe must act decisively to protect its sovereignty and security. The drone wall is both a defensive measure and a symbol of unity against Russian aggression. It represents a collective stand, a unified front that signals Europe's resolve to defend its borders and its values. Europe is adapting fast, determined to meet the new realities of modern warfare. The rapid deployment of new security technologies and the intensive training of military personnel underscore Europe's commitment to staying ahead in this new era of conflict. Ukraine's drone successes have Washington reconsidering its restrictions on long-range strikes. President Zelensky has requested permission to use US-supplied missiles, and even Tomahawk cruise missiles, against targets in Russia. President Trump's response has been cautiously open, signaling a possible policy shift. The debate is shifting from escalation fears to enabling a Ukrainian victory. Joint US-Ukraine arms production talks are underway, aiming to boost Ukraine's self-sufficiency. NATO allies are also funding new arms purchases for Ukraine. These moves could give Kyiv the decisive edge it needs. Ukraine's innovation is now central to its defense. A new unmanned air defense system service will deploy interceptor drones to hunt Russian Shahed drones, shifting air defense from static to dynamic. These cost-effective interceptors create a flexible shield over cities and infrastructure. Underwater, the Toloka UUV threatens Russian ships and bridges without risking Ukrainian lives. These advances reduce reliance on foreign weapons and show Ukraine's growing sophistication. From the skies to the seas, Ukraine is leveraging technology to outpace Russian tactics. The message to Moscow: Ukraine's resolve and ingenuity are only growing stronger. The late September strikes may be a turning point in the war. Ukraine has proven it can inflict real damage deep inside Russia, shattering the illusion of a distant conflict. Moscow must now defend both the front and its own heartland, stretching resources thin. Every air defense system pulled back from the front is a win for Ukraine. These attacks strengthen Kyiv's case for more advanced Western weapons. The conversation is shifting from survival to strategic victory. By raising the costs for Russia, Ukraine hopes to break the Kremlin's will to fight. This new phase, marked by deep strikes and rapid innovation, could fundamentally reshape the conflict's outcome.